Hello everybody, and a warm welcome to our first webinar here at Operaio. I'm very happy to talk about our latest product, the Operaio SCSM archive, which will be released tomorrow, and I can give you some insights today already. I'm Raphael Krebs, a DevOps engineer here at Operaio, but in this context, I'm also the lead developer of this new product. This webinar is being recorded. So after this webinar is over, we will be able to make this available to you using a link over email. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the question and answer chat window you have available in Teams. I will try to answer all these questions towards the end of the presentation. Okay, during the next 30 minutes or so, I will introduce Operaio, the company, and the team, talk about the use cases of the product and the problems it can solve, and give you an overview of how the product works, followed by a quick demonstration. Towards the end, I will summarize what we have learned during the webinar, shed some light on the pricing model, and finally answer your questions if there are any. Okay, let's go. So who are we? We are Operaio, and we love service management. The company was founded in May 2020 as a spin-off from ITnetics with the purpose to focus on IT service management solely. We have our own software, all based around Service Manager, and we do quarterly releases with updates and bug fixes for you. We are a small but experienced team, mainly based in Switzerland. We have one guy from Russia. So let me introduce the people. This up here, this is my lovely face. I've introduced myself already. Next to me is Seraina Jöriman. She is responsible for our back office and marketing, so she's taking care of our website and is also making this webinar possible. Thank you, Seraina. Next, down here, we have Marcello Rosenberg. He is a co-founder of the Operaio and also the CTO of Operaio. Besides Marcello is his little brother. This is Dario Rosenberg. He joined us recently and he is working as a junior DevOps engineer. And down here, we have Anton Gritsenko. He is our lead developer for all our Service Manager products. And last but not least, down here, we have Adrian Probst, also a co-founder of Operaio and the CEO. Okay. So what is this all about? The use cases that we figured out for this product. Many of you have the requirement that you have to keep your data in your service management environment, and that might have many reasons. Some of them need them for revisions, others need them to be GDPR compliant. And some of you keep your data up to 10 years. Depending on how much data you get in your database on a daily basis, your service manager environment can get quite slow with all this data in the database. Some of you tried to offload this data into the System Center data warehouse, but usually this got corrupted, you've lost maybe data, or you had to put in a lot of effort to recover that data. So at this point, it's quite safe to say that the System Center data warehouse is not very reliable. Another interesting use case we figured out is that some of you need to anonymize your data. So for an example, if you have incidents in your Service Manager environment, they're older than 2 years, you need to remove clear names, addresses, phone numbers, etc., etc. These are all problems or use cases that we can solve or cover with our Operaio archive for System Center Service Manager. So how does it work and what is it exactly? The Operaio System Center Service Manager archive consists of 3 main components. Here in the middle, we have the core component, and that's the archive itself. That's basically just a standalone SQL database. And this database is connected to your System Center Service Manager database, and it's pulling the data from there on a daily basis, or you can also do it hourly or quarter daily, how much you want. Also, if you have a data warehouse from System Center, you're able to migrate the data from here into the archive so that you can get rid of your System Center data warehouse if you want to. During these processes, so during the migration of the data from your data warehouse or during the synchronization from your service manager, you have the possibility to anonymize your data, meaning you can remove clear names, you can remove addresses, phone numbers, and all these things from the data you have. Another component I will be showing you today is a web-based search tool where you are able to find the data that you have stored in your archive. So you can have a look at your incident service requests and so on. Also, the last component, which is still in development, it's not yet done, is the reporting tool. This tool will allow you to create sophisticated reports of the data you have in your archive, meaning you can create reports with bar charts that show you on what weekdays, how many incidents were created, or the performance of your analysts, how fast they resolve incidents or how fast they complete service requests, things like that you can do there. All right, at this point, we come to a quick product demonstration. So what we have here is the web-based search tool I've mentioned earlier. And this allows me to search our archive. Now it has a look and feel like some general search engines you should be used to, and it should behave like these. So let me quickly type in a search term in here. And I should get results that are matching my search term up here. And we have some, we got 15 results. Most of them have my search term in the description, but it would also search the title and the display name and so on. This is in the end up to you what it searches for. This is customizable. In the default configuration, it looks like this. So you can see we can scroll down and see all the results we got, and there's also a paging, so you can move on to the next page and load some more data if you need to, if you haven't found what you need. Yeah. Next, if you want to have a look at an item, you can just click it and you will see the data that's in here. Exactly. And the form looks more or less what you're used to in your service manager environment. So you have the affected user, you have the alternative contact method description, you have the user input from a service request, and below here we have an action log. Also, there are the tabs with your activities. I can have a look at these activities. I can move over here and have a look at this review activity with its own form. I can go back to my service request, have a look at the form filling activity, and so on. I also have the related items tab. Here, the same thing. You have hyperlinks to the other work items, and you can have a look at them if you want. Another thing that's possible here is we are archiving the attachments. So you can have a look at your attachments. They're up here. And you can just click here to download such an attachment. I've got it right here. And we can have a look. It clearly says that it's a report. Okay. Now, one thing you can see right here is that the data is anonymized. So the affected user is stated as just the login name of that user. And yeah, so if you don't want that, you can configure it differently. So in the standard configuration you receive of this product, there's no anonymization. So let me walk you through how you can anonymize the users in here. And for that, I will switch to the SQL Management Studio. And in here, you can see one of the configurations. So here is a view definition of the domain user class. This view pulls its data from the Service Manager domain user table down here. And it takes over basically all the properties you have for such a domain user. So the object status, initials, the domain, state, country, department, whatever you want. It's all in here. And using this view, it will be all synced into your archive. At the moment, you have seen that it's anonymized. So this means I have configured it like this. And here you can see for things that are somewhat related to a person, like last name, first name, the country, department, state, zip, and telephone numbers, they're just null values in here, or an empty string in this case. We just take the user logon name as the username, because we can take that over, that's no problem, and also as a display name. And the display name is what you in the end see in the Search Console we have seen previously. So what I will do now is reconfigure this view to this one. So we have all the data in the archive and not just the anonymized data. I will quickly do this. So it's reconfigured. Now, when it is reconfigured, I will start the stored procedure that will sync the data. Give me a minute. So this is this stored procedure right here. Let me execute that one. Now, bear with me. This will take not more than 20 seconds, but we will let that run through. There you go, 10 seconds, very nice. Now we go back to the search tool and have a look at the affected user as I refresh this page. And you can see this user was actually Hans-Jörg Muster. So this is how you can anonymize data. Of course, this is not the whole story. This was just an example how you could anonymize the domain user, because maybe you have seen it before. The names of the action log entries are still in clear text, so there's some additional effort to anonymize everything, but it's clearly possible. All right, another thing you have here is the advanced search. The advanced search lets you search a little bit more in detail what you want to find. And you can see we have some fields here, the work item ID, the title, the description, affected user, affected config items, and attachments. These are not fixed. If you need different fields or fewer fields or additional fields, you can have that. That's clearly customizable. So in the standard configuration, it looks like this, and we will try it out. What I would like to have is service requests. So I type in the SR, the prefix of that ID, and I would like to have all service requests where Hans-Jörg Muster is the affected user. See what we get. And here is that service request we had a look at previously. Seems to be the only service request where Hans-Jörg Muster is affected. And we are back at where we started. Okay, that's all I can show you for the search tool. Let's go back to the presentation. So, to summarize what we have learned right now in this webinar, the Operaio SCSM archive can increase your service manager's performance by archiving the data, so you can clearly decrease the data retention time of your service manager items. You can anonymize data if you have that configuration, and using the web search tool, you can find and access the archive data. In the future, you can also generate tailored reports, as I have explained previously, but that's coming soon since that tool is not yet released. All right, let's have a look at the pricing model. The left side, we have the license. Acquiring a license requires a one-time payment. The price starts from $3,200 and it increases depending on your company size. Currently, we do not offer trial licenses for the product. I come to that a bit later when we're talking about the consulting packages. Then we have the maintenance and support contract. This is a yearly contract which is mandatory in the first year, and it entitles you for support as well as product updates and additions, such as the reporting tool I've talked about. The maintenance and support contract costs you 20% of the license cost. So it's starting at $640, excuse me. Now the consulting packages. The installation of the Operaio SCSM archive requires some consulting. By default, one of our consultants, probably that will be me, will sit together with you and discuss the scope of your archive, what you want to archive and how it should be displayed. There's a standard configuration. of your archive, which will archive the usual Service Manager work item types, such as incident, service request, problem records, change requests, and release records, but also all the different activity types that are available. Additionally, some of other classes must be archived, like the domain user, action log, comment log, so that we can display relationships. Installing the Operaio SCSM archive in its standard configuration should be done within a day, including the scoping mentioned previously. Additional efforts will be required if you have class extensions or your own custom classes that you would like to include in your archive, or if you want some customized forms in the search tool I've shown you. Understanding the amount of that efforts required in total is then part of that initial discussion where we scope your archive, how much work should be done. Exactly. So if you have any interest in the product, please get in touch with us. Also, if you have some questions or would like to clarify more in detail if we can cover your specific use cases, also get in touch with us. And if you would like to access the demo environment I've shown you previously, you can do that too by getting in touch, because we cannot offer trial licenses, but we can offer you to play around on our environment a little bit to get a feeling how it feels like, how it behaves, and if it's suitable for you or not. So I will now check if you asked any questions to us. And it seems like not. So if you have any questions, please ask them now. Otherwise, thank you very much for listening and have a good day. So I see there is a question in the chat. So the question is it compatible with System Center Service Manager 2012 R2? And yes, it actually is. The archive itself accesses the SQL database of Service Manager, so it should work independently of the version you're using. Yeah, so it is compatible. Any further questions? Are you happy? Looks good. Okay, thanks for the feedback. Yes, so I do not believe that more questions will come up. If you should feel that you have some other unclarities, you see the email address on the screen. Just get in touch, feel free. I will happily answer all your questions you've got. And I will also happily show you the product more in detail in a personal meeting if you want to.